The lights in the great hall were very bright and cold. They shone down on the metal floor where hundreds of seats were arranged in a large circle. In the center of this circle stood one man. His name was Alex. He wore a simple blue suit that looked old compared to the strange, shiny clothes of the aliens sitting around him. Alex was the ambassador for Ancient Terra, which was also known as Earth. He felt very small standing there, but he stood straight and did not look down. High above him, on a floating chair that looked like a cloud of glass, sat High Counselor Vex. Vex was not human. He had very long arms, blue skin, and large black eyes that seemed to look right through people. Vex was the leader of the Galactic Council. The Council made the laws for many planets and many different types of living beings. Today was a bad day for Alex. For 3 long days, the Council had been talking about his home planet. They called it the human question. They said that the humans on Terra were dangerous. They said that humans liked war too much and that they did not know how to be peaceful in a galaxy full of other life. Terra is a problem, Vex said. His voice was loud and echoed in the big hall. We have watched them for a long time. They fight each other. They build weapons. They do not trade with us. They do not share their science. They put a big shield around their planet and hide behind it. They act like wild animals in a cage. We cannot allow a violent species to live next to us. We must bring them order. Alex took a step forward. He raised his hand so he could speak. A small machine in front of him translated his words into many alien languages. Counselor Vex, you are wrong, Alex said clearly. We are not hiding. We are protecting our home. Terra has seen many wars, it is true. But we learned from our mistakes. We stay on our planet because we want to be peaceful, not because we are weak. We do not want to fight the galaxy. We just want to be left alone. If you leave us in peace, we will hurt no one. But I warn you, do not try to force us to open our doors. You do not know what you will find there. A strange sound went through the hall. It was the sound of many aliens laughing. It was a mix of clicks, buzzing noises, and deep growls. To them, Alex looked weak. He had no weapons. He had no army behind him. The humans of Terra had not flown a spaceship out of their system for hundreds of years. To the Council, humans were just people who lived on a dirty old planet, playing in the dirt while the rest of the galaxy traveled between stars. Look at him, said one alien from a seat near the front. He had green skin and 3 eyes. He speaks of secrets. But we all know the truth. Terra has no ships. Terra has no shields. They are a dead race. They are primitive. Vex looked down at Alex with a smile that showed sharp teeth. You hear the Council, human. We are not afraid of you. We are doing you a favor. We are going to clean up your planet. We are going to take away your dangerous tools and teach you how to be civilized. We will bring the light of the Council to your dark world. Alex felt his hands get into fists, but he forced them to open. He knew that talking was useless. The Council had already made up their minds. They were too arrogant. They thought that because they had many ships and big lasers, they were the kings of everything. They did not believe that a quiet race could be strong. They did not understand that Terra was not weak. It was just sleeping. Vex raised his long, thin hand into the air. The hall became quiet. I call for a vote, Vex announced. Who agrees to send the Great Fleet to the Sol system? Who agrees to censure Terra and force them to join our peaceful community? On every seat, lights began to turn green. The Krillorians voted yes. The Saurians voted yes. The insect people voted yes. One by one, the lights turned green until almost the whole circle was glowing. The vote was almost total. It is decided, Vex said happily. The fleet will move out today. By the end of the week, our ships will be at the edge of the Sol system. We will break down their door. We will bring peace. Alex looked up at the main screen in the hall. A picture of the galaxy appeared. There were thousands of stars, but one yellow star began to blink red. That was the sun of Terra. Then, thousands of little red dots appeared near that star. It was the coalition fleet. It was the biggest group of warships the galaxy had ever seen. There were fast fighters, big heavy ships that could destroy moons, and command ships full of soldiers. They were all moving toward Earth. Alex knew those ships. He knew their power. But he also knew something that Vex did not. He knew that Terra had a history that went back further than the Council existed. He remembered the stories his grandfather told him, stories about the first expansion and the sleeping giants. Two tall guards in metal armor walked up to Alex. They grabbed his arms gently. The meeting was over. They were taking him to a room to keep him safe while the fleet attacked his home. He walked with them, but he kept his eyes on the screen. You think we are weak because we are quiet, Alex whispered to himself. You think we have no weapons because you do not see them. You are making a very big mistake. He watched the red dots move closer to the blue dot that was his home. He felt a strange mix of fear and pride. The Council wanted a war. They wanted to teach humanity a lesson. But they were the students, and the class was about to start. The fleet was flying to its doom, and they did not even know it. Alex looked back at High Counselor Vex one last time. Vex was laughing with his friends, celebrating the easy victory. He thought the humans would surrender the moment they saw the big ships. He thought Terra would fall in one day. We let you think you won, Alex said softly as the guards led him out of the bright hall. We let you believe we are nothing. But now, you have woken us up. Now, you will see the truth. The heavy doors closed behind him, shutting out the light of the council chamber. The darkness did not scare Alex. Because out in the dark space of the Sol system, something very old and very powerful was listening. The order had been given. The enemy was coming. And for the first time in 3,000 years, the dormant fleet was about to open its eyes. The stars looked like bright dust in the black window. Commander Jessica stood with her hands behind her back. She looked at the small blue dot far away. That was Earth. It looked so peaceful. It looked so easy to conquer. Jessica was the leader of the vanguard ship, called the Light of Justice. It was a very strong ship with many big guns. Behind her ship, there were thousands of other ships. They belonged to the Galactic Coalition. Together, they made a long line of metal and lights in the dark space. The bridge of the ship was very quiet. The air smelled like clean plastic and coffee. Many alien officers sat at their desks. They pressed buttons and looked at screens. They were waiting for the signal from Earth. In every other war Jessica had fought, the enemy would send a message right away. They would say, "Please do not shoot. We give up." But today, the radio was silent. There was no talking. No yelling. No begging. "Report," Jessica said. Her voice was cold and hard. A young man named Ryan turned around in his chair. Ryan was the communications officer. He had short brown hair and looked a little nervous. He listened to the sounds coming from his headphones. He shook his head. "Nothing, Commander," Ryan said softly. I am scanning all the radio channels. I am looking for military signals, for news channels, even for simple talk. But there is nothing. It is like the planet is empty. Jessica frowned. She did not like this. The council said the humans were primitives. People who still used oil and fire. She thought they would be scared. She thought they would be crying. But silence was not fear. Silence was strange. They are hiding, Jessica said. They are afraid to speak to us. Or they are not there, Ryan said. He looked at his screen again. The heat sensors show life on the planet. There are cities. There are lights on the dark side. People are down there. But they are not talking to us. Jessica walked to the front window. She looked at the giant planets that were also in the system. Jupiter was big and orange. Saturn had beautiful rings. But her eyes went to the space between Mars and Jupiter. That was the asteroid belt. It was a messy place full of big rocks and dust. Maybe their machines are broken, Jessica said. They are an old race. Maybe they do not know how to use radios anymore. She laughed a little. Her crew laughed too. They felt safe. They had the best weapons. Their shields could stop meteors. They were the strongest power in the galaxy. What could a small, quiet planet like Earth do to them? Keep trying to talk to them, Jessica ordered. Tell them we are the coalition. Tell them we have come to bring order. Tell them if they do not answer in 1 hour, we will shoot. Ryan went back to work. He typed on his keyboard. He sent the message into space. The radio waves traveled fast toward the blue planet. They waited. Minutes passed. The clock on the wall ticked loudly. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Suddenly, Ryan stopped typing. He tilted his head to the side. He pressed his headphones tighter against his ears. Commander, he said. His voice was shaking a little. I hear something. Is it them? Jessica asked. Are they surrendering? No, Ryan said. It is not a voice. It is a sound. A beat. Like a drum. But it is not music. It is math. Put it on the main speakers, Jessica said. A loud noise filled the room. Ping. Ping. Pause. Ping ping. Ping. It was a very fast signal. It was sharp and clear. It made the crew feel uncomfortable. Where is it coming from? Jessica asked. Ryan looked at his map. His eyes went wide. It is not coming from Earth, Commander. It is coming from the asteroid belt. Jessica looked at the screen that showed the belt. She saw thousands of rocks floating slowly. It is just rocks, Ryan. Maybe it is an echo. No, Ryan said. He was typing very fast now. I am tracking the sound. It is coming from multiple locations. From the big rocks. Look. He changed the picture on the big main screen. He zoomed in on one large asteroid. It looked gray and bumpy. But then, the picture changed colors. Ryan used a heat sensor. The gray rock turned bright red. That rock is hot, Jessica said. Why is it hot? Because the engine is starting, Ryan whispered. Jessica stared at the screen. She did not believe it. Engines were for ships. Asteroids were just big stones. But as she watched, the rock began to turn. Dust fell off it. Large pieces of metal that looked like rock fell away. It is shedding its skin, Ryan said. Look at the others. All across the screen, the same thing was happening. Dozens of asteroids were changing. They were not rocks at all. They were hiding something under the stone and dirt. As the dust cleared, Jessica saw shapes she knew. They were the shapes of warships. But they were huge. They were much bigger than her ship. Scan them, Jessica yelled. What are those ships? The computer worked fast. Red lines appeared on the screen, outlining the shapes. Design unknown, the computer voice said. Hull composition is unknown. Weapons are active. Shields are up. Jessica felt a cold feeling in her stomach. Active, but we just got here. How did they know? The signal, Ryan said. The math signal. It was a password. It woke them up. The main screen filled with lights. The asteroids were not just waking up, they were moving. They moved together, like a flock of birds moving in the sky. There was no bumping into each other, they were perfectly coordinated. One massive ship, shaped like a long black spear, moved to the front of the group. It was so big that it blocked the light of the stars. On the bridge of the Light of Justice, the crew stopped laughing. The quiet was gone. Now, everyone was moving fast. People were running. Alarms started to sound. Beep, beep, beep. Commander, Ryan shouted. That big ship is locking its weapons on us. All of them. Jessica looked at the blue planet, then back at the black fleet. The Council was wrong. The humans were not weak. They were not primitive. They were hiding an army in the rocks. They had been sleeping for a long time, waiting for someone to come to their door. Hail them, Jessica said, her voice not so hard anymore. Tell them we are sorry. Tell them we are leaving. I can't, Ryan cried out. They are jamming our signal. They are not listening. The black ships began to glow. The light was not the blue of coalition engines. It was an angry red. It was the color of a warning. The silence of the Sol system was over. The giants had opened their eyes, and they were looking at the invaders with anger. Jessica realized that the hunter had just become the prey. Deep inside the largest asteroid, a light turned on. It was a soft red light that moved slowly down a long metal hall. The room was very cold, cold enough to freeze water in seconds. In the center of the room was a glass box. Inside the box lay a man. He looked young, maybe 30 years old, with short dark hair. His name was Captain Tom. For 3,000 years, Tom had slept. He was not dead. His heart was beating very slowly. The machine kept him alive, waiting for the day he was needed. The red light hit a sensor on the glass box. The glass made a hissing sound and slid open. Cold air came out like fog. Tom took a deep breath. It hurt a little, like drinking cold water too fast. He opened his eyes. He sat up. He felt a small click at the back of his neck. That was the computer link. It connected his brain directly to the ship. He did not need to touch buttons. He only had to think, and the ship would listen. Status, Tom thought. System active, the ship replied in his head. The voice was not a person, it was the computer. We are awake. The enemy is at the door. Code Omega has been received from Earth. Tom stood up. He did not stretch or yawn. He was a soldier. He had a job to do. He walked to the window of his ship. The window was covered by a thick layer of stone and ice. But Tom knew it was there. Open eyes, Tom commanded. Outside, the rock that covered the ship began to break apart. It was not an explosion. It was like an egg hatching. Huge pieces of stone and metal fell away. Behind the rock was a ship, but it did not look like the ships of the coalition. It was black and smooth, with no sharp edges. It was shaped like a long spear. It was 5 times bigger than Commander Jessica's ship. This was the Olympus, the dreadnought of the First Fleet. Tom looked at the space screen in his mind. He saw the tiny ships of the enemy. They were swarming like bees. He saw the data from Earth. The modern humans on Earth were scared. They had asked for help. And now, the old kings had arrived. They are shooting, the ship said. On the bridge of the enemy ship, Commander Jessica was shouting. Fire! Fire everything! Don't let them get out! The coalition fleet launched thousands of missiles. Lasers of red and green light filled the dark space. They flew toward the black ship that had just appeared. Jessica watched. She hoped to destroy it before it could move. The lasers hit the black hull of the Olympus. But they did not explode. They did not make a scratch. The lasers hit a strange purple shield that was invisible a moment ago. When the lasers touched the shield, they just bent. They slid off the ship like water off a duck's back and disappeared into space. The missiles hit the shield next. They did not explode either. They just stopped in the air, hung there for a second, and then fell dead. Their engines turned off. Inside the Olympus, Tom watched this. He was not surprised. The technology of the Council was good for their time, but his ship was from a different age. An age when humans were masters of the galaxy. The weapons of the coalition were toys to him. They try to hurt us with fire and metal, Tom thought. How primitive. Tom closed his eyes for a second. He connected his mind to the rest of the fleet. There were 10,000 ships sleeping in the belt. He woke them all up. He did not need to talk to them. He just gave them a picture in his mind. A picture of a shield wall. A picture of a trap. The other ships, the sleeping giants, began to move. They did not fly in straight lines. They moved in curves. They turned and spun without slowing down. Their engines did not glow blue or red. They glowed white, like a small star. The gravity around them changed. They moved heavy ships as if they were feathers. On Jessica's ship, the alarm was screaming. The targets are accelerating. Ryan yelled. Their speed is impossible. They are moving faster than our sensors can track. Shoot them down. Jessica screamed. Focus fire on the leader. But it was too late. The ships were everywhere. One moment, the sky was empty. The next moment, the black human ships were right next to the coalition ships. They were so close that Jessica could see the markings on the hull. It was writing in an old language from Earth. Captain Tom looked at the main coalition ship. He did not want to kill them yet. He wanted to show them the truth. He wanted to show them that they were children playing with matches. Main gun, Tom thought. Prepare. Target the empty space in front of the enemy flagship. Power level 1%. Do not destroy. Acknowledged, the ship replied. On the side of the Olympus, a huge door opened. It was not a small gun hole, it was a massive barrel, miles wide. Inside, energy began to gather. It was not hot energy like a laser. It was gravity energy. It made the space around the ship bend. Light looked funny near the gun. They are charging a weapon. Ryan shouted on the bridge. It is huge. Evade. Evade. But the ship did not move. The crew was too scared. They were frozen by the sight of the black monster in front of them. Tom fired the gun. There was no loud noise in space. But visually, it was terrifying. A beam of distortion shot out. It was invisible, like a ripple in a pond. It flew past the coalition ships and hit a spot of empty space right in front of them. The beam hit nothing. But where it hit, gravity exploded. It was like creating a black hole for 1 second. A massive shock wave exploded outward. It was not made of fire. It was made of pure force. The shock wave hit the coalition fleet. It did not punch holes in the ships. Instead, it smashed them. Ships weighing thousands of tons were thrown backward like plastic toys. Their shields shattered instantly. Their engines ripped off their hulls. Lights flickered and died. The delicate electronics inside the alien ships fried. The sheer power of the wave turned the mighty fleet into floating junk. On Jessica's bridge, the floor jumped up. Everyone fell down. Sparks flew from the ceiling. The lights went out, leaving only the red emergency glow. The gravity stabilizers failed, and Jessica floated into the air, then crashed back down. Smoke filled the room. Jessica coughed. She pulled herself up to her console. The screen was cracked. But she could still see outside. The Olympus sat there, untouched. The shock wave had not even scratched the human ship. It had only pushed the enemy away. "Report," Jessica whispered, her ear ringing. "Shields are gone," Ryan said from the floor. He looked dazed. "Engines are dead. Weapons are offline. Commander, we are helpless." Jessica looked at the screen. The other coalition ships were in the same state. They were dark and silent. They were drifting in the dark, powered down. The human fleet had not fired a single shot that hurt them. They had just clapped their hands, and the enemy had fallen. A voice came over the radio. It was not a demand for surrender. It was a calm, cool voice. It sounded like it came from everywhere at once. "This is Captain Tom of the Olympus," the voice said. "You came to our house with fire. You have been stopped. Do not move. Do not try to fix your ships. If you do, the next shot will not miss." Jessica sat back in her chair. She realized then that the stories were true. The humans were not weak. They were just sleeping. And now, the giants were awake, and they were not happy. The smoke in the bridge was thick and tasted like burnt plastic. Commander Jessica pulled herself up from the floor, her head pounding. The red emergency lights were the only thing working, casting long, scary shadows across the room. Around her, her crew was groaning. Some were holding their arms or heads, but no one was dead. It was strange. The shock wave had enough power to crush their ship like a soda can, yet here they were, floating in space, alive but helpless. "Report," Jessica said, but her voice was weak. Ryan was at his console, tapping uselessly at the dark screen. "Nothing works, Commander," he said, his voice shaking. "Main power is offline. Weapons are offline. Life support is running on batteries. We are drifting." Jessica looked out the cracked window. The giant black ship, the Olympus, was still there. It did not look damaged at all. Around it, thousands of other human ships had appeared. They moved with a grace that made the coalition ships look like clumsy floating boxes. The human ships did not use thrusters that puffed fire. They moved by bending gravity, sliding sideways and turning instantly without slowing down. "They are surrounding us," Ryan whispered. "Look at the sensors. Even the broken ones show movement." Jessica looked. The human fleet was forming a sphere around the coalition forces. They were not attacking. They were just closing the trap. It was like a pack of wolves surrounding sheep, but the wolves were not biting yet. They were just showing their teeth. Suddenly, the screens on the bridge flickered. They turned on by themselves. The blue logo of the coalition disappeared. In its place, a symbol appeared. It was a simple drawing of a blue circle with two white lines crossing it. It was an ancient symbol from Earth. "They are hacking us," Ryan said, his fingers flying over the keyboard. "I am trying to stop them, but they are too fast. It is not like a normal hack. They are just walking through our firewalls. It is like, they built the system and know the secret key." "Let them talk," Jessica said. She sat back in her chair. She knew it was over. "You cannot fight a god." A voice filled the room. It came from every speaker, every console, and even the small radios on the cruise belts. It was a calm voice. It was the voice of Captain Tom. "Alien vessels," the voice said. "This is Captain Tom of the Terran dreadnought Olympus. You have fired upon our territory. You have violated the Treaty of Silence that was signed 3,000 years ago. By our laws, your destruction is required." Jessica felt her heart stop. She closed her eyes, waiting for the end. "However," Tom continued, "the modern government of Terra has asked for mercy. We are not monsters like you believe. We do not kill for sport. We kill to survive. You are not a threat to us. You are a nuisance." The screen changed again. Now it showed a map of the galaxy. A bright line appeared from Earth. It went out in all directions, covering thousands of stars. "We have watched you for a long time," Tom said. "We let you think you were the kings of space. We let you build your little council and write your little laws. We hid our true strength so that one day, if we needed to, we could remind you who we are." Jessica looked at her crew. They were listening with their mouths open. They had always thought humans were primitive. They thought humans were people who lived in caves and threw rocks. But this voice spoke of technology that the Council could not even dream of. "Your weapons use heat and light," Tom said, sounding almost bored. "Lasers and plasma. That is cute. We stopped using those 1,000 years ago. We use mass drivers. We use gravity wells. We can move stars if we want to. You came to our house with a stick. We have a gun." On the screen, an image appeared. It showed the Olympus firing its main gun again, but this time the video zoomed in. The beam didn't just hit a ship, it bent space. The ship on the screen didn't explode, it crumpled. It was crushed into a tiny ball by the weight of gravity. "This is what we can do," Tom said. "But we will not do it to you today. You will drop your shields. You will power down your engines. You will surrender your command codes to us. If you refuse, we will not fire. We will just leave you here. Your life support will run out in 3 days. You have 10 minutes. The screen went black. The symbol of the blue circle remained. 10 minutes. Jessica looked around the bridge. Her crew was looking at her. There was no question in their eyes. There was no "let's fight till the end." They were terrified. They were facing a power that made the Galactic Council look like children playing with toys. "Open the channel," Jessica said to Ryan. "Broadcast to the whole fleet." "It is open," "Commander," Ryan said. "This is Commander Jessica of the Light of Justice," she said. Her voice was strong, but her heart was heavy. "To all coalition ships. We have no chance. Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. We cannot win. Do not try to fight. It will only make them angry. Power down. Lower your shields. Surrender." Across the void of space, one by one, the lights of the coalition ships flickered and died. The hum of engines stopped. The bright green and red shield bubbles vanished. The fleet that came to conquer Earth was now just a graveyard of floating metal. They were sitting ducks, waiting for the farmer to collect them. Thousands of miles away, in the Citadel of Unity, the scene was very different. The Great Hall was in chaos. The big screen that usually showed the stars was now showing the live feed from the Sol system. The council members were screaming. Some were running for the exits. High Counselor Vex was sitting in his chair, his face pale. Alex stood in the center of the room. The guards had let him go when they saw the feed. They were too scared to stop him. He walked over to the screen and watched. He saw the coalition ships surrendering. He saw the massive black ships of the ancient fleet herding them together like sheep. It was a beautiful and terrifying sight. "Silence!" Vex shouted, his voice cracking. "Stop shouting. Look at them." The room became quiet, everyone looked at the screen. They saw the Olympus move. It dwarfed the largest alien ships. It was a mountain of black metal next to pebbles. "We were wrong," Vex whispered. He looked like an old man now, broken and afraid. "Alex, you warned us. You told us we did not know what was sleeping." Alex turned to the alien leader. "Yes," Alex said. "I told you. But you did not listen. You were arrogant. You thought that because we were quiet, we were weak. But we were not quiet because we were weak. We were quiet because we were remembering." "Remembering what?" Vex asked, his eyes wide. "Remembering how to win," Alex said. "Terra has been here for a long time. We have seen empires rise and fall. We hid the fleet to save the galaxy from ourselves. But you woke us up. You forced us to show you the truth." On the screen, the human fleet sent a message. It was not spoken in words. It was a signal sent directly to the Citadel computers. It was a list of demands. 1. The coalition fleet is prisoners of war. 2. The Galactic Council must pay for the repair of Earth's honor. 3. Terra is the new leader of the Council. The members of the Council gasped. It was impossible. But looking at the screen, at the thousands of invincible ships floating in the Sol system, they knew they had no choice. Alex watched Vex's face. The alien leader was trembling. The balance of power had shifted in a single day. The hunters had become the hunted. The weak had become the strong. The Council had tried to censure Ancient Terra, and now, Ancient Terra owned them. "It is a new day," Alex said quietly to himself. "And the humans are back." The trip back to the Citadel was the quietest journey Commander Jessica had ever taken. Usually, the crew would talk, laugh, or prepare for the next mission. But this time, no one spoke. The bridge of the Light of Justice was dark and cold. They were not flying the ship themselves. The ancient human fleet had taken control of their navigation systems. Jessica sat in her chair, watching the stars zoom past the window. She felt empty. She felt like a child who had been scolded by a parent. Beside her, Ryan was looking at a screen that showed the towing beam locking their ship to a massive black vessel ahead. "They are not hurting us," Ryan said quietly. He was the first one to speak in hours. They gave us food. They fixed the air. They are treating us nicely. Jessica nodded. Yes. They are not barbarians, Ryan. They are soldiers. Professional soldiers. They do not kick people when they are down. It is worse, in a way, Ryan said. If they were monsters, we could hate them. But they are so disciplined. It makes me feel stupid. Jessica looked at the black ship ahead of them. It was the Olympus. It was pulling the entire coalition fleet through hyperspace. The humans had technology that could move thousands of ships at once, effortlessly. The Council had tried to fight this force with clumsy lasers and arrogance. It seemed like a bad joke now. When the ships dropped out of hyperspace near the Citadel, the silence of space was replaced by a busy noise of signals. The Citadel was the home of the Galactic Council, the heart of civilization. But today, it looked different. Usually, the space around the Citadel was full of colorful ships from 100 different worlds. Today, those ships had moved back. They were hiding behind the station's shields. They were scared. They were watching the tattered, beaten coalition ships drift into the dock. Inside the Great Hall of the Council, the mood was terrified. High Counselor Vex stood at the window of his high tower. He watched the Light of Justice and the other ships park in the bays. He saw the burn marks on their hulls. He saw the broken engines. "We are doomed," Vex whispered. He was shaking. His blue skin looked pale, almost gray. "We woke a dragon." The heavy doors of the council chamber opened. Everyone turned to look. They expected to see a fleet of human marines with guns. They expected to see explosions and fire. But they saw only one man. It was Alex. He walked into the room with slow, calm steps. He wore his simple blue suit. He did not have a weapon. He did not have an army behind him. He just walked. But the way he walked had changed. He was not looking at the floor. He was looking straight at High Counselor Vex. The room was dead silent. Hundreds of alien species stopped their whispering. The guards did not try to stop Alex. They stepped aside, their eyes wide with fear. They knew that Alex was not just a man. He was the representative of the power that had just crushed the Coalition's best fleet in 10 minutes. Alex walked to the center of the circle. He stood in the spot where he had been laughed at only a few days ago. He looked up at Vex. "You wanted to see us," Alex said. His voice was not loud, but it carried across the huge room. "Well, you have seen us." Vex floated down from his high chair. He stood in front of Alex. The alien was tall, but he looked small now. He bowed his head. We did not know," Vex stammered. "We thought Terra was defenseless. We thought you were hiding because you were weak." "We were hiding because we are dangerous," Alex said. "For thousands of years, we kept our power a secret. We wanted to let the galaxy grow. We did not want to rule you. We did not want to scare you. But you made a mistake. You thought silence was weakness." Vex fell to his knees. It was a sight no one had ever seen. The leader of the galaxy was begging a human. "Please," Vex said. "Tell them to stop. Do not let the fleet destroy us. We will surrender. We will pay anything." Alex shook his head gently. "They are not going to destroy you, Vex. If they wanted to destroy you, you would already be dust. Captain Tom is not a murderer. He is a guardian. We are sending you back your ships. We are releasing your prisoners. We are not monsters. A wave of relief went through the room. Aliens started to breathe again. But, Alex continued. His voice became harder. Things must change. The Council cannot attack Terra. You cannot censure us. You cannot threaten us. From this day on, Earth gets a permanent seat on this Council. Not as a junior member. As a leader. We get the power to stop any law we do not like. We have the veto power. Vex looked up. Is that all? That is all, Alex said. We do not want your money. We do not want your planets. We just want respect. We want to ensure that no one ever tries to civilize us again. Vex stood up slowly. He pressed a button on his arm. The large screen behind him changed. It showed the Galactic Charter. He added a new line to it. It gave Terra the highest rank in the Council. It gave the human ambassador the power to veto any decision. It is done, Vex said. Terra is now the protector of the galaxy. Alex looked around the room. He saw the fear in their eyes, but he also saw relief. The galaxy was chaotic. There were pirates, wars, and dangers. But now, there was a sleeping giant watching over them. If the galaxy was ever in real trouble, the fleet from Earth would wake up again. Good, Alex said. Then I have one more message from Captain Tom. The screen flickered. It showed the Sol system. The picture was beautiful. The blue Earth was shining. But then, the view moved to the asteroid belt. The massive ships that had terrified the Council were moving again. They are turning off their lights, Ryan said from the bridge of the Light of Justice as he watched the same feed. On the screen, the black engines faded. The great ships stopped moving. They looked like they were freezing in place. The camouflage systems turned back on. Slowly, the metal ships looked like rocks again. The spears became asteroids. The floating cities became moons. They are going back to sleep, Alex told the Council. They will disappear into the dark. You will not see them. You will not hear from them. But remember this day. Remember what happens when you make an enemy of Terra. The screen went dark. Back in the Sol system, Captain Tom sat in his chair. The lights of the bridge were dimming. Is it done? Tom thought to the ship. The Council has surrendered, the computer replied. The fleet is recloaking. We are returning to dormancy. Tom closed his eyes. He felt the cold air returning to his glass box. He would sleep again. He might sleep for another 100 years. He might sleep for 1,000. But if the galaxy ever forgot the lesson they learned today, he knew the alarm would ring again. Good night, humanity, Tom whispered. His heart slowed down. The machine took over. The giant ship became silent. In the vast dark space between Mars and Jupiter, the ghosts vanished. The rocks floated peacefully. The Sol system was quiet once more. But the galaxy was different now. The Council knew the truth. They were not alone. They were the children, and the humans were the silent parents watching from the dark. And as long as that fleet slept in the shadows, there would be peace. Humanity had shown its face, and it was a face that could save the world or end it. They chose to save it today. But tomorrow was up to the Council.